Hello and welcome to the Average Feminist podcast. Welcome to the very first episode. My name is Lily. I am your host. I am 19 years old. My pronouns are she, her. I'm currently studying at the University of Exeter. I do ancient history, and I basically just decided that I wanted to start a podcast to talk about kind of feminism and women's issues and try and take down the patriarchy. My first guest today, my lovely friend Verity, who helped me come up with this idea and manifest it into real life. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Verity, obviously. I'm a law student at Lincoln. And yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah? Is there anyone you want to shout out? You can, I know that your Instagram's private, but you can shout out an icon, a business, a book. I don't know.
Honestly, any small businesses, Black creators, and feminists, it all helps to do good.
We love that. So today we're going to talk about catcalling and kind of our experiences with it, stories that we've got, just because, well, I mean, you were just saying, I don't know if you want to explain the story, but you were just talking to like your dad and he kind of didn't really believe that it was still a massive issue.
He didn't fully believe that women still have hardships until I mentioned my own personal experiences, to which he was a lot more empathetic.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of speaking to even my mum the other day. I mentioned that I was reading, I think it was I was reading Women Don't Know You Pretty by Florence Given, which I highly recommend. It's a great book. And she kind of said to me, like, do we really have still the need for like the word feminism?
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, we do. And that's the name of my podcast. Leave me alone. No offense, Mum, if you're listening, I love you. Yeah, I think people don't really realise still how far away we are and how much we've got to go.
Exactly.
So, catcalling. Do you want to start with the story? Do you want me to start with the story? I've got a story that you are involved in.
Go on.
Okay, so I was kind of trying to think, like, do I really have many examples that stand out to me? Because obviously it's kind of happened, but I feel like a lot of the time it happens so much that you forget that it happened. So one that I do remember really vividly was we were in year 8. It was Halloween. Yes. We went out together. We weren't friends at this point. We had a mutual friend and I was really stuck and I had nothing to do for Halloween. And she was like, I'm going out with my friend Verity, like, come along with you, because we were still 13. So we were like, let's go trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
We went out. I can't even remember. See, this is the thing. Even now, I'm trying to justify what I was wearing.
Exactly.
But the point is, it shouldn't matter. I was 13. It shouldn't matter at any age, but especially not because I was 13. Exactly. And at the time, sure, maybe I thought I looked a little bit older. I don't think I looked in any way 16. Yeah. And even if I was 16, I don't think it was like 16-year-olds that were catcalling us. No, they were driving. Yeah. So they were definitely 17, 18, and they should not be catcalling at anyone. Exactly. Because that's a bit iffy. I definitely didn't look, if I did look 16, no older than 16. Don't think I looked 16. But we were walking down this road, and we did live before we went to uni. It's quite a small place. Yeah. It's a little town.
Everyone knows each other.
Everyone knows each other pretty much. It's basically just the school, a lot of churches, a lot of charity shops, and a lot of supermarkets. There's not a lot to it. You have to get the train to go anywhere or drive to get anywhere. Exactly. So it's October, it's Halloween. So even by the time we went out, it was dark. I think it was fairly far through the night. I think we were pretty much done. We were just walking back. And this car just came like speeding past. I remember exactly where it was, and I know that it was only a 20-mile-per-hour limit.
Me too.
So I know that they were speeding. And I think they just like put their window down. And I can't remember what they said. I think they said something rather than whistled.
It doesn't really matter though, because it just...
No, it doesn't really matter.
I can't remember, but we know that it made us uncomfortable.
Yeah. And like, maybe I'm being a little bit up myself and a little bit arrogant, but I think it was directed at me because I was wearing a short skirt if I was wearing anything.
Out of the three of us.
Yeah, which again, doesn't matter. And I don't even think it was like a short skirt. I think it was probably a tight skirt. Mm. But again, not that it matters what I was wearing. You shouldn't objectify or catcall or anyone, no matter what they're wearing, especially not if they are
minors.
Pretty clearly minors. Yeah. Like I said, at the time, I probably thought I was older. Looking back at pictures of me at 13 now, I was definitely... I feel like I might have had my braces at this point as well. Maybe I was just about to get my braces. But either way, I was clearly young.
I have a similar experience. When I had work experience, And I worked at a law firm at the bottom of my street.
Was this year 10 or year 12?
Year 12.
Year 12. So for context, year 12 is you're about 16, 17.
Yeah, still a minor.
Still a minor, over the age of consent. Exactly. Like we said anyway. Always wrong.
Yeah.
But I guess more forgivable.
Yeah.
That sounds...
But I was walking down the street to go to this work experience. And every day, in the morning, lunchtime, coming home, a group of builders opposite the road would harass me, shout things at me, and whistle at me to the point where I'll have to get my mum to drop me off and pick me up from literally the bottom of the road.
It's actually awful. I remember, I've actually got 2 stories about this girl. I used to work with this girl before I went to uni. She was lovely, and when I started working with her, she just turned 14. I think by the time I left, I think she's 16 now, maybe nearly 17. But we were working one day, I think it was towards the summer or something. I think that day it might have just been me, her, and our boss. And we were just talking about how she'd gone out the day before, because she went to a different school than us, but similar, kind of like 10 minutes away. Still very small towny, very whatever. And she was just like walking along a road, and she was wearing a crop top, and she said these men like leaned out of the car and were like shouting at her, whistling at her, or whatever, catcalling her in some way. And my boss turned around and he was like, well, you were wearing a crop top, like you were kind of inviting that attention.
Yeah.
And I remember even then I got so angry, and I was like, no, this is wrong. She's 14. It doesn't matter that she was wearing a crop top. And he was like, well, I'm just saying, if you're gonna like expose your skin. And I was like, no, you can't victim blame her. Like,
no.
She was minding her own business. It was hot weather, so she was wearing clothes that would feel more comfortable to her. You can't. And then the only thing that made him concede in the end was we were like, she said that she was wearing like high-rise jeans, so basically none of her skin was exposed because she was wearing a crop top, but she was also wearing high-waisted jeans. So he was like, okay, well, yeah, they were just a bit, I can't remember what the word he was basically like, yeah, they were just a bit of a twat and whatever. But then she used to go on holiday to Spain quite a lot as well, which obviously very hot country. She's probably wearing like similar clothes, holiday clothes. Not that it matters what clothes you wear. And she said that she always used to walk past these like builders as well, which is where I made the connection. And she used to say that they would always like call down to her and make these comments. And again, both times she was underage. It just frustrates me so much.
Regarding builders, I was talking to my dad because he's an architect, he works with builders quite often. And he was saying that they have to have someone regulating the sites to make sure that doesn't happen. And if it does happen, they can lose their jobs.
They have to have someone on site to make sure that builders aren't catcalling.
Essentially, basically, yeah. And he was saying that obviously that person wasn't present, they're not always regulating it. It's just ridiculous.
I'm just struggling to believe that this is a thing.
I know.
It's a good thing, I guess, that they've got someone there to make sure that doesn't happen and that there are consequences if it does happen for them, like, they lose their job and everything. But it shouldn't need to happen. No. And at the same time, then they know that as soon as that person isn't there to regulate them, they're not learning what's wrong with their behaviour. They're just complying to a system until they can do it some other time.
Exactly.
It's not a solution. It's like putting a plaster over
they're just trying to make sure
a crack in a cliff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Ugh, capitalism! They're doing it for the company, not for people's personal business.
Exactly.
So how have you found it? Because obviously, like I said, we lived in quite a small town. How did you find it then, going to uni and being in a bit of a bigger city? Is Lincoln a city?
Small city.
Small city.
Yeah. Well, I found that when it happened in Dorset, it was only when I was underage.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
For sure.
But now, in a smaller city, it happened a lot more often, basically daily. And it would get to the point where I couldn't go to my local shop after 6 o'clock without a male with me, without getting catcalled, and without being made uncomfortable by men.
That is disgusting. How far away is your closest shop, just for context?
5 minutes.
Because if I was here, I think there's some a bit closer to where I live now, but my first year, like uni accommodation, all the shops, there was a garage right next to us I could have gone to, but I would have to walk like half an hour, which obviously is like more time to get catcalled out. But the fact that you're outside for 5 minutes and you have people,
exactly.
It's awful. Because I think, well, I seem to be quite oblivious to these things happening, I guess because I'm used to it in a way that I just don't notice it happening anymore, whatever. One specific time I do remember from being at uni, it was my 19th birthday.
Nice.
We'd gone out the day, like the night before, we'd all gone out for a meal, me and like my whole friendship group. And then, because everyone pretty much lived in the same kind of place on campus, but me and two of my friends lived further out, and me and my friend Rosie lived kind of in the same building, and then our friend Caitlin lived just up the hill. So we went back to my friend Stan's place after the birthday meal, just to kind of, I think I left a lot of my presents at his because I didn't want to like take them out and everything. So we went back to pick them up, and then I think by that point it was probably 10:30, 11. So we were like, I mean, we just started talking. We're all very close friends, so it was not unusual for us to start having a conversation. And then by that point it was like, well, we might as well stay till it's my actual birthday, because I was going to go home and I was going to go to London, so I wouldn't actually see them on the day. So we were like, let's just bring in my birthday together and go home. And you know, I turned 19. Woo! We probably stayed for another half an hour, whatever, just saying happy birthdays and everything. Happy birthdays, like I was saying it to them. It was just my birthday. But we walked back. Rosie and I dropped Caitlin off at hers. We went down the hill. We had to like cross these traffic lights to get to our accommodation. But it was like 1 a.m. at this point, so I don't think we ever really bothered pressing the button because there were no cars. But there was like this one white van that drove past, and I think it must have beeped us. I don't think anyone said anything because it was like 1 a.m. and they were also speeding. Why is everyone speeding when they cackle? But they were definitely speeding, and they kind of beeped us, and I think Rosie just flipped them off.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I remember I even posted something on, like, I've got like, you know, you follow my private Instagram.
Yeah.
I even posted something on my private Instagram, like the pictures that we'd taken before I left, and I was like, oh, I was 19 for an hour and I was already catcalled out by white men, like white van men. We love to see it. Anyway, I think, to be honest, that was the only time in Exeter, because I mean, like you said, I was rarely alone. Yeah. I was with someone a lot of the time, and I guess because it's so on campus, a lot of it. Yeah. Like if we were going out at night, we would always walk through campus to get to everyone because it's the quickest way. Yeah. And then if we were walking to and from clubs, I'd be with like other people and guys anyway, so it happened a little bit less. But I mean, like, that's not to say things didn't happen in clubs. Obviously catcalling's a lot harder in a club because of the noise. You can't like audibly catcall, but you have the whole thing of like, and again, I'm so not observant. I can't believe I was so oblivious to this. We'd all kind of like go out, a lot of the group together a lot of the time and things like that, and we'd all just kind of be in our circle. And obviously in a club things get a bit rowdy, people go at it a bit hard. A lot of people have been drinking, so they're not got the best balance or whatever. Right. People just kind of like fall into you. They're all just a bit like and you just get knocked a lot. A lot of the time if it got too violent, like Stan or our friend David or like any of the guys would kind of like switch places with us. They'd force us to move. I'd be like, no, I'm fine, I'm strong and I'm independent, I'm gonna put up with this bashing. And Stan would be like, just switch places with me. And he'd like pick me up and move me, and I'd be like, okay, fine. According to Stan, like, I might be making the statistic up, but I'm gonna say about 50% of the time that he moved me, it's because he was like, did you not realise that someone was dancing on you? And I was like, no, I just thought that was someone jumping into me.
Have you ever found that when you're in a club, a guy would approach you, but he would look for approval from the men of the group first?
Oh, interesting.
As if their status is higher than the females.
Do you know what I saw? You might have said this to me. It was a tweet or a TikTok or something.
Yeah.
Did you send it to me?
Yeah, I sent it to you.
Yeah, the one that said, I find it funny how like saying I have a boyfriend when someone's trying, and then they immediately back off. They're basically saying that they respect this man that they don't know much more than they respect you, a woman. They are actively in front of trying to harass.
Yeah.
It's mind blown. I've never noticed that because, like I said,
I never noticed it either, but it wasn't until my friend Asher actually told me.
Isn't it weird how much we just don't realise? Because actually Stan has told me that he's kind of like locked eyes with people who have been dancing with me, and like that I haven't known have been dancing with me because my back has been turned to them, and I guess they're trying to get my attention or trying to get themselves off or whatever, and Stan's kind of like stared them down until they back off.
Exactly.
Which I never realised.
No, neither.
Because like, especially, I mean, I guess I was more observant because I was in a relationship the whole of my first year at uni, so
exactly.
when I was in a club I wasn't looking for guys to get with. So when they were dancing behind me, and also because you think you'd feel it.
Exactly.
I guess they were dancing behind me, but not touching me, because I never noticed. But then what's the point if I'm not going to notice and turn around and dance with them?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I don't understand men.
I don't understand. If there are any guys listening who do this in clubs, please tell us why you do it. And also, please stop. We don't enjoy it. No. You are so much less likely to have any chance of getting at this in a club. Also, I think it's worth saying, don't just approach someone in a club and touch them.
No.
This goes for men and for women, because I have a friend who I work with, and he told me how he was in a club one time, and this girl just came up to him, started like grinding on him, started touching him in inappropriate areas. It's not okay. Like, I have gone clubbing many, many times, none of which I was going there thinking I was going to get with anyone. Like I said, I was in a relationship every single time I've gone clubbing because we're in the middle of a pandemic, so I haven't been able to go since. And like, you can't just assume that someone is A, not in a relationship, B, just consenting anyway. C, you don't know what, like, this person who, like, my friend that I work with who was assaulted, like, call it how it is, he was assaulted by this girl in a club. He could have been recovering from anything himself. You don't know, like,
you don't know what people are going through. You can't just assume.
No, ask for consent. Just ask for consent.
It's not that difficult.
It's not that difficult. Not everyone goes to a club to get with other people, so you can't just assume that everyone is there to try and get with you. You know, if that's your intention, and if you want to get with people in a club, great. I fully support that. I fully plan on doing that this year.
Yeah.
But I will get consent first.
Exactly. If you act like a dick, I won't get with you.
Exactly. Also, if you are sober and getting with someone who is drunk, that is not consent. It's not consent. Someone who is drunk is not consenting to you.
No.
The picture gets blurrier if you're both drunk. That gets more confusing. I don't drink, so I cannot say where I stand on the issue. However, if one person is obviously intoxicated, maybe more than just slightly tipsy, had a drink or two, is like a bit buzzed but fully aware of what they're saying. Again, I don't drink, so I don't quite know what the parameters are. But if one person is very, very obviously intoxicated and you are very, very sober, or even just slightly tipsy, if you're very far apart on that scale, that is not consent. That is essentially rape.
Yeah.
True.
I have a interesting...
Oh, you got some tea?
This can go off into like a much wider topic.
Oh, we'd love to see it. Go for it.
So my friend told me... I was out on a night out with my friend.
Yeah.
Who was a male. And he bumped into one of his friends there. I was incredibly drunk because, unlike Libby, I do like to drink. But my friend was practically sober. He had a few drinks, but he wasn't really drunk.
Had a buzz, but all his control was still there.
And his friend asked him if he was getting with me that night. And when my friend said no, because she's obviously too drunk, he was confused as to why that wouldn't be the case. He was confused as to why, because I'm drunk, it's not acceptable.
That is disgusting. We do not love that.
We don't.
No, if someone is drunk and you are sober, or, you know, like I said, if you're more on the sober side and they are more on the drunk side, for Verity, don't even try.
No.
Don't. Also, I'm broaching into another topic again. I'm slowly starting to realise I don't think these episodes are really actually going to be about what we plan for them to be about, because we what's the word? Tangent. What's that word that Miss Coates always used to use? You know, when she always used to go off on a tangent, she'd always say that word. It starts with a D. Come on, you did English.
Yeah,
I've
got it.
You know it.
Digress.
We're always going to digress from the topic, but I feel like I forgot where I'm going with this now. What did I say?
We digress.
No, but what were we talking about before that I was going to digress on? You were talking about that guy in the club trying to get with you, and then I was going to say... What was I going to say?
I don't know.
Oh my god, I feel like it was going to be some kind of consent-related thing. Oh my god. I have such a short attention span. Hold on, we're going to have to retrace this conversation.
Yeah.
So you were talking about that, and the fact that he wasn't going to get with you.
Yeah.
And then I said about being really far apart, drunk, sober. Oh, I nearly touched my book. Oh, I know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I know what it is. It's something that I read in Florence's book.
Oh, fun.
And I was going to say, in Florence's book, she said, I might have to quickly flick through it. I'm destroying my room. This podcast is going brilliantly. I can't wait to hear that on the audio. I'm going to have to really quickly look up the contents and see if that will just spark a reminder of what I said.
But to everyone who hasn't read this book, I 100% recommend it.
Oh my god, for sure. I think I will do a more in-depth episode on it. But it is Women Don't Owe You Pretty by Florence Given. I've just finished it. You've just read it.
I'm starting to read it, yeah.
Sorry, you've just started to read it. I think I've managed to get like 5 people to read this book already, and I've had it for like a week.
It's brilliant.
It's life-changing. Everyone also should follow Florence on Instagram. I think it's @FlossGiven. I will, if I remember, try and put it in the show notes and everything. Let me see if I can get this. I remember what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So, in Florence Given's book, Women Don't Owe You Pretty, full credit, this is kind of where I have adopted this idea from. She was talking about how consent is so sexy. Like, if you ask someone if they consent, there's nothing better than knowing that you're respected, knowing that you feel safe. Like, she was kind of talking about it, and like, I don't know, in my relationship before, we kind of spoke about it, and he was like, I don't know, I just think it's a bit awkward to be like, can I kiss you? Like, on a first date or something. And I kind of understood at the time, like, it can be a bit clunky. Yeah. But there are so many other ways you can word it, and just
exactly
saying things like, I don't know, like, is this okay for you?
Yeah.
Like, we can stop at any time.
Yeah.
There is no pressure on you to follow through with this.
Exactly.
This has no expectation.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know.
And it's like, going on from that, when guys in the club have tried to hit on me, it's just, I don't know, I don't find it attractive. Like, when they're dancing behind me, they're trying to, like, grab me. I hate it. But then I've had guys come up to me, asking me if I'm single, and it's just, that's a compliment. I think that's more of a compliment when a guy is more genuine, more kind about it, than when he just sees you as an object.
Oh, for sure. I had one of my friends was hit on outside of the lecture theatre. So that, like, on our uni. So we were waiting to go into a lecture. I wasn't with her at the time, but I've, like, heard the story since. And it's kind of this, like, acquaintance that we have. He's not really our friend, but, like, we know him. We've spoken to him a few times, whatever. So this was, like, I don't know, say it was, like, 4 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon. Like, he's obviously doesn't even have the excuse of being drunk or anything. It was just outside a lecture theatre. I wish for the life of me I could remember what he said. I really wish I could remember what the pickup line he used on her was, but he straight up did, like, oh, I feel like it was one of those ones where, like, I'm going to have to give them both fake names, but he was like, what's your name? And she was like, Jemima. I'm trying to think of a name that I'm like, I don't know when I'm called Jemima. I don't think Jemima's really a name. Actually, I work with someone called Jemima, I think. Never met her, but I think I work with someone called Jemima. Her name pops up on Facebook. I also used to know someone with a rabbit called Jemima. Nice. And then this guy we're going to call... give me a name. Because you really don't know his name, so give me a name. Simon, great. I was really worried you were going to pick his actual name, and then I was going to be like, crap. So Simon says Jemima, like, what's your name or something? And then she says, like, Jemima. And then he says, oh, I'm Simon. And then I think it went something like, but it would sound much better if you screamed it, or something like that. Ugh. And I was just disgusted. And I was like, I cannot believe that you tried to... Disgusting. I really hope that Simon isn't listening. Actually, no, I don't care. Simon, if you're listening to this, you are trash and you should not have done that.
Simon, if you're listening, stop treating women as objects.
We are not objects.
Nice.
Really quickly, if we have time, I think we only have about 5 minutes left, but it reminds me of this conversation that I kind of have with my friendship group today. So this might be wrong. Like, I think this is basically the gist of it. Please call me out if I'm wrong. Message me on the Instagram, email the pod, whatever. But Ben Shapiro has like come out with a tweet or something, and I think his wife is a doctor, and she said it's basically impossible for women's vaginas to get wet unless it's like a yeast infection, some kind of STI.
Oh.
She's like, it's medically impossible to get wet through sexual arousal, which is a lie. And I feel sorry for this woman because sex must hurt.
Yeah.
It's the body's natural reaction to lessen the pain of sex, to ready the vagina.
Yeah, that's why foreplay is so important.
This is why foreplay is so important. I just while it was on my mind and while I had it today, I will probably do an episode where I get much more in depth with it because it frustrates the hell out of me. Yeah. But there are at least like 3 of us girls in the chat going, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, right.
This is like, she should lose her medical license for this.
Yeah.
This is not okay.
That's insane.
So
we love that.
We love to see that, and that he just kind of went along with it. It's also a little bit funny that he's basically admitting that he's never sexually pleased his wife.
Yeah, right.
Ever. Because if she's a doctor, being like, if he managed to, does she suddenly think like, oh my god, I must have
a yeast infection,
a UTI, like some kind of STI?
Yeah.
Weird.
Mad.
So Ben Shapiro has never sexually pleased his wife.
We love that.
You should not hook up with drunk people if you're completely sober.
Yeah.
You should. I'm trying to think of everything we've covered today. What was the other thing that I kept forgetting about? Consent is sexy and hot as hell.
Yeah.
Ask for consent. It will only turn us on more.
And don't catcall.
And don't catcall people. I read so many great stories on Twitter that's like, I think I read one that was like, I was in the gym with my boyfriend and he was like pretending that he wasn't my boyfriend, and he kind of like shouted at me. He was like, yeah, you have a great butt or something. And then this total stranger came up to this girl, this other woman, and was like, hey, you ready to go?
Yeah.
Like, we love that. That's the kind of energy that we need to see.
Exactly.
Girls supporting girls.
If you see a woman getting harassed, help her out.
Help her out. Yeah. Bothers me to talk about this. It really makes me angry. I'm really trying to like stay calm, collected. Brilliant. So I'm going to wrap this up now because I've got about 2.5 minutes. So thank you for listening to the very first episode. Thank you for joining me, Verity.
It's my pleasure.
If you want to follow us, we are at The Average Fem Pod on Instagram. There's an email for us. I think it's theaveragefeministpodcast@gmail.com. But it's also, you can find that through the Instagram. My own personal Instagram is Libby_Low, so that's LIBBIE _LOW, because I spell both of my names the non-conventional way. I am edgy. Also, disclaimer, probably should have said this at the start of the episode, forgot to, classic me. Everything that I say on this podcast and everything that my guests say is completely our own opinion. You can feel free to disagree with us. You can have your own opinion, that's totally valid. The only thing that is not an opinion, and if you believe this, you can stop listening to this podcast and never come back, is human rights are human rights. If you do not believe that Black lives matter, if you don't believe that trans lives matter, if you do not believe that trans women matter, Black women matter, you are not a feminist.
Right.
Rights of people are not political, they're not opinions, they are rights and they are fact. So if you don't believe that, you can leave, and I am so okay with you leaving because I would so not rather you listen. Also, having said that, I am just an average gal. I am your complete average gal. I am a uni student. I am young. I am trying to start educating myself a lot more than I was, but I'm going to slip up and I'm going to make mistakes. And also, my guests may also make mistakes. And, you know, I'm constantly trying to better myself and look out for that. But if I do say something that is slightly politically incorrect, or could have been phrased in a way that sounded less, I don't know, judgmental or anything, call me out on it, please. Send me a message to the podcast, or if you know me, because I'm assuming most people who listen to this first episode at least will know me personally. Hello, friends and family. Just message me and just say, like, hey, we've got less than a minute left. They will just say, like, you know, just be like, hey, you could have worded this better. Use this word instead, please. And I will be like, thank you so much for letting me know, because I don't want to be ignorant, and I don't want to be saying things that are going to offend people. So, you know, life is a constant educational journey. Please tell me, and then I will learn, and I will be better, and everyone will be better for it. So, I've got 10 seconds. Please follow the podcast on Instagram at The Average Femme Pod. I will see you hopefully next week for another episode. Thanks for listening. Bye!